Brett Okamoto at the UFC Apex. It's fight week for UFC 290 here in Las Vegas, and I'm here with this handsome man, this handsome gentleman, Dan Hooker, who is obviously sporting a very new look for UFC 290. What was the motivation behind this?
Nah, no real motivation. Just changed things up a bit. It was a bit of a whim, last minute decision before I came over. So yeah, it's not too much thought.
I mean, I've gotten to know you a little bit, Dan. You are kind of an impulsive guy, but
Incredibly, incredibly. That's why I end up where I end up.
I mean, that's just there's nothing else to it. Huh? You were like sitting on the couch, bored, nothing to do, or like how does one decide to just change their hair to that color?
Well, it's easy. Like my best mate, his missus owns a hair salon, so that makes it like a heck of a lot easier when I'm just like, I'm coming around tomorrow. I want this, bleach my hair. She's just like, all right. So that made it very easy to be impulsive.
You know what's interesting about that color of hair is that you get blood on it, really shows
That's
up.
what I was thinking. I hope we get out there. It's a bit of a war. We get a few cuts going, and we get some blood going through it, and it's probably turn nice and pink.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this topic before, but still, this many fights in, and you want a war. You want to go out there and have a back and forth war with Jalin Turner. That's kind of what you want, right?
Oh, that's fighting. Like you have to be, you just have to be prepared for that. You can't. I've had 20 fights now. Oh, I'm gonna go out there and I'm just gonna at no point does cage fighting become like a sporting event. Yeah. Like you need that. You need that in the back of your mind. Like I'm obviously prepared for like a very technical 15-minute breakdown. Or I'm prepared for if it turns into a bit of a slug match. That's as a fighter, that's something that you have to be prepared for.
When you think about yourself standing here and the difference between you and what's going on between the ears compared to maybe like 2 years ago when you were doing all that fun stuff and the fans were like, Dan's crazy, he's flying everywhere, he's doing this and that. But then, you talked about a couple losses, taking your team for granted. Like, what do you think is the biggest difference between you now and then maybe a couple years ago?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a lot more mature. I got all my ducks in a row, but that's it. Like when it's very easy to win the fans back with knocking people out. Like that, that's like the true secret to it. Like it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're getting those wins. That's like really the main thing. So it's like I feel like from my perspective, I'm doing exactly the same thing that I was doing then. Yeah. You know what it's like? It's the same. On the same hand, it's like people love you because you're reckless and do reckless things, but then they also hate you because you're reckless and you do reckless things. So it's like the same thing people love you for will be the same reason people hate you.
Did you take a lot away from your last fight? Because one thing you said that was interesting about Claudio is that you were like, I know I'm a level above him, and that will show. And it did show. Like, so were you able to take a great deal of satisfaction, or was it kind of like I did something I knew I was going to do? Like how did you feel coming out of that one? Did you take something from it?
Well, that was it. Like that was I think my striking coach Twister said like, congratulations on your first fight. Like that's because that's the first time I've done it the way I've been told to do it, like or done it the way that I'm supposed to play the game. You know what I mean? Like not just go out there and kind of just blank everyone in the corner out and let my hands go. That's doesn't turn out too well. That's if you can say one thing. So yeah. Just following the system that's been in place and has had such success for teammates, which I've seen firsthand. It's pretty hard evidence to argue against.
Yeah. And do you think you're past the point where that's going to be an issue anymore, or do you think you still could get out there and beat Dan Hooker and forget about your corner, or do you think you're past that point?
I think, I think it would have been. I think it would be a mistake to think that that's not always a possibility with me. I think that's how we keep it. I think that's how we keep it under control. Yeah. Is know that it's always there, but kind of keep it in the back pocket. Yep. For maybe when things aren't going so well, then and I get told to do it. Maybe if I get told to do it, then you'll see it.
Just a couple more things for you. Were you in Miami? I can't remember. Were you in Miami for Izzy's fight?
Nah, I watched it back home in New Zealand. I went on a little getaway with the family and was just kind of isolated myself for that fight. I think I was stressing too much.
Were you pretty stressed going into that one?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot on the line. Yeah, there was a lot of emotion there.
Why do you think you say a lot on the line, but what do you mean by that? Like, were you worried that if it didn't go his way, like how he would react to it, or like why do you think you were personally so stressed out about it?
Nah, it's just like someone. Yeah, it's like any of my teammates fight. It's like a physical response. It's not even. I don't know. I don't process the emotions so well. But yeah, it's like a physical response. Like you're just like, man, like start thinking, overthinking, panicking. So yeah, I just escaped. I was like, I'm getting away from everyone. I'm just gonna hang out with our family and watch it.
Yeah. Well, I just the reason I ask you is because like that to me was just so memorable. Like I was inspired by it. Like putting your chips in it, all in, facing a guy who's beat you 3 times, and you do that celebration, the speech after, like you got to take risks to feel what I'm feeling right now. Like I feel like that was inspirational to a lot of people, and you're like very close to him. You're with him throughout this whole journey. So I wonder if like, does that hit you harder? Does it hit you less than maybe some of the others because you're around it all the time? Like what do you think what Izzy did in Miami? What impact did it have on you?
I think that's like a lasting effect for years. I think they had a huge impact, like his speech and just how the story played out and will continue to play out. Like, yeah, it was. I was like super inspired by that. Like, and that's our sport. And maybe it's just a bit of a reminder to me. Like, yeah. Risk versus reward. Without any risk, there's no reward. Like Jalin Turner's a risky opponent, but if that's who I need to beat to get back to where I want to be.
Best of luck, man. Can't wait for it. It's going to be a great fight, and his Dan Hooker fight is always entertaining, even when he is listening to his corner. So,
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.